Hello there. This is Brento Cast episode 30, believe it or not. I'm sitting here looking out at the still water of Baden Lake as the sun sets over my left shoulder. It's really peaceful. What am I doing out here? Well, I flew myself out here real quick as the detox class went on in the store. I knew I had a few minutes so I could get away and get me a cappuccino at Baden Coffee. It's probably my favorite coffee shop right now. And a lot has gone down this week, so I thought it would be a great time to post an update. It's going to be kind of a wild and woolly week, but I'm going to do my best to kind of summarize all that's coming and what has recently happened. Have not had a writing and arranging day with young Harrison Foreman, my primary musical collaborator, in quite some time, because he has a lovely lady in his life, and that's really changed his schedule. All for the best, because he is like the happiest and, oddly enough, the calmest I've ever seen him. So it was cool that he had today and Sunday, and we got together, and he actually came an hour earlier than I thought I had scheduled. But when I reviewed the text I had sent him, indeed he came on time, and I actually wrote down the wrong thing. I intended to write 2 and I wrote 1, but it's all good. We knocked it out of the park, had a great day. We've work taped 2 songs that have been in the work process to get ready to record for the album for some time. They just really needed Harrison's kind of contribution to the arrangement a little bit. So we did that, and I gotta say, they sound amazing. The one is called Long Time Running, and the other is called Fall on Me, and I think they're both clearly in the Southern rock genre. And at the time, we're working on an album important to us both, I know, and it's called Southern Lane. And in addition to laying down some pretty sweet, just really right in the mainstream Southern rock type genre songs, we've also begun recording what will become the official version of Bowers Foreman 1. That's our progressive rock stuff, and we've probably done 2 of those songs. But we've done, I think, 3 or 4 we've put down for the Southern Rock album, and then we have 2 more ready now. So this Wednesday, I'll be going to do a little bit of work with fixing up some of the vocals. We had a backing vocalist a couple weeks ago, and I need to take her parts and sort of comp them around a particular song in a certain way, and then add Harrison some backing vocal parts to a song we got called Timeline, which is really a little R&B and Southern rock. It's not like anything I've ever recorded before, so I'm really chuffed about that. But Sunday went great. I took a little video. I'm making it a habit now that I have fiber. You guys have heard me refer to it. Excuse me. You've heard me refer to it as Google Fiber. I just mean it's fiber internet. It's through Connect. It's like the really fast stuff, like 400 Mbps up and down. Sometimes the upload is even faster than the download, which is insane. It's what the internet should have been all along. So I finally got that in my office. And now, by happenstance, you heard me in the last episode talk about my old work machine, the Beast, dying. And it definitely, I think it was the motherboard, which meant a lot of the stuff on it was still usable. I didn't know what kind of a salvage box it was going to be, because I went with a similar case, but the motherboards have changed and the video cards have changed. So I was able to salvage out of it a video card, which I can probably sell, a hard drive, 2 hard drives, and the most important part, 2 16 megabyte sticks of memory. So your boy now is rocking 64 megabytes of physical RAM, and that is a big deal. It really makes the machine, which was already faster. I could put it to you like this. It was a relatively fast machine out of the box. I think it had like half of that, instead of 64, it had the 32. And I was able to render things, and I could browse and stuff while a render was happening. But from time to time, particularly working with the new heavier models from Dad's Studio, namely Genesis 9, which just slows everything down because it's 8K maps and just a much heavier figure to work with. I did notice that like it would kind of catch a little bit. The mouse would sort of freeze a little bit when I'd be browsing if a render was going on. And the addition of the additional 32, bringing it up to 64 megabytes of RAM, now the first thing I noticed was I can render with DAZ Studio. I can also be running a render with Stable Diffusion and still browse. And generally speaking, occasionally it'll catch, but normally just perfectly smooth browsing. So that's impressive. So basically the function of it while it's doing heavy processor stuff is much, much better. Was able to get 2 solid state drives, which I think I can get like an adapter, an external case for, and still potentially move those. One is a terabyte, one is a 2 terabyte. So that might be worth doing. I don't know. I might not do it either. I'm not exactly sure, but I do know that, it is exciting to have a machine this really kick ass. And I actually just realized I'm going to be in the way of a guy trying to bring his boat in and dock his boat. So I'm going to just move on down to the point while this guy loads his boat out, and I'll just kind of carry on with you guys for a few more minutes. So all that kind of went down today as I was able to go in there, and I got a call from URI Technology, who couldn't do this work for me on Friday because I got the new computer in at the very early morning hours of Friday, but they were not able to do it. I think it was because they hadn't got their replacement guy. So William, that worked there for like 6 years or something, that was his last day, and he didn't really give me a clear picture of what was salvageable and what wasn't. So I'm happy it turned out to be a happy thing. But I'm sure I spent an hour talking to that guy on the phone trying to decide what case I should buy to make it most likely that stuff would be able to go from that old system into the new system. And we ultimately, I was actually playing with Delilah in the park, and she managed to swing a steel wheel into my eyebrow that really hurt. So I won't be forgetting that conversation. But anyway, I wasn't sure how it was going to go. And as fate would have it, the machine that we got definitely worked with the new motherboard and case. So that worked out good. But they had a new guy in there today, and I was able to talk with him. I did realize that wanting to set up my sound bar, my Bluetooth sound bar, I did not have what I needed on board. I had to order today a little fob that gives it Bluetooth capability. But then after that, I'll be using a sweet soundbar, which will be better sound than I've ever had on any of my editing machines. So it's on the up and up. It's going to allow me to produce my HDRIs and things that I actually do to sell so much faster. I have a few things underway on that score, but it's thrilling to get the old hardware situation sorted out. And there's a few ducks and geese out there. How interesting. I think I am going to head back to Albemarle as I wrap this up, because I want to be back there, and I don't want Nancy to get any clue that I had me a little coffee and a little treat. They had half off pastries. One thing about Bacon Coffee is their pastries are amazing. I generally try not to eat them because they're so fattening, but when there's 50% off, I sometimes will get them whether I eat them myself or not. And I know Summer and Delilah are going to be at the house tonight. Summer's going to do some cleaning for us because she's leaving early this week to go to the beach, and she wants to get a little extra money. So I'll be hanging out with Delilah for a couple hours. And last week, one of the things that Delilah wanted was cake, and we typically give her whatever she wants. But on this detox, Nancy's a little stricter, and I kept saying, Delilah, we're going to go get cake at Bacon Coffee, and we never got to do it that day. So it'll be cute to give her the cake. And she will love it because it looks amazing. All the Jody stuff at Baden Coffee, primo. High calorie. She doesn't do any of the gluten free, which I'm just being. That's the way it is, So I'm not complaining. I just have to really take care of how often I eat that stuff. But anywho, getting back to it, like I said, Summer and her boyfriend are going to the beach this weekend. Oh, I forgot a really cool thing that happened this week. So I was scheduled to play at Baden, at Loafers and Legends, which is always a fun time for me, but I decided to try something a little different this time in that I didn't play any originals. I played all covers, and so that meant getting out into some covers that I don't commonly do, and probably needed to put a little more work on those. I didn't have a ton of time to prep. But it turned out okay, and really, really nice crowd. Small crowd because it turns out there was a Duke football game on TV, so it didn't have quite the crowd as normal, but I was able to make as much in tips as Harrison and I usually make together, so that means at least they were entertained, and had a guy want to get up and sing and play, and I let him. He came up and got up and did 2 songs, and everybody was just thrilled by that, and kept it general, variety, being like beach and oldies and covers, a little bit of Americana. Did an Elton John song I'd never done before, several songs I had never done before. So I had thought to bring the 12-string because lots of times they complain about the loudness and they want you to turn down. Well, my new policy is in that particular room, if they ever ask me to turn down, I just turn the amp completely off because it's, you don't want to. It tends to frustrate you when they keep coming back saying, could you turn down more, could you turn down more? So I just unplugged it. But with the 12-string, I'm thinking in there, there'll be a lot more volume to my acoustic guitar. I can sing loud enough for that room. It's just the guitar on a 6-string doesn't come across quite loud enough without being plugged in. But it's all about how many bodies are in there. And, with only 2 tables occupied, it definitely was loud. And so I didn't make any kind of a fuss. I just pushed the microphone away, turned the amp off, and played unamplified, and I was experimenting with, I like to take video of my shows, not always to share, but sometimes to, decide whether or not to do a song again, or what my setup was like, and also it's just a memory for me. I privatize a lot of those, but I've got a great new 360 camera that I really like how it works, and it has a weighted base, so I wasn't as worried about it getting knocked over, and I did put it on the table. And I let it run for the whole time with an external battery on it, and it got the whole show in 360, so I'm slowly going through and running that stuff off and uploading it to YouTube, to my private playlist. I may do a reframed version of it and just pick some of the best ones, but the output is really cool because I can go back, and if I don't want to watch me, I can spin around and see what else it sees in there, and you get a sense for the whole room like that. And I may do that again on a busier night. It would have been a little hectic because if the thing gets knocked over, it's got big lenses on both sides. Those lenses are ruined. That means I'd have to rebuy that module. So it's a $700 camera. Don't want to do that. But there's a way that I can mount it, I think, on the post that they have there, and potentially record it from a high enough angle that I could, after the fact, set it up. And I may try that again. The good news is Harrison's going to be with me the next show, which will be March 11th, the second Saturday night in March. And he and I will, again, probably do it completely unplugged. But, it'll be two guitars instead of one. So that'll be fun. And that may be an opportunity to try out a more direct approach with that 360 camera, but being able to edit the angle after the fact is amazing, and the audio on that thing is really good, so I was definitely surprised by that. But anyway, it turned out to be a great night, and like I said, $80 in tips for 2 hours of, I can't even call it work, just playing. I did deploy my new Android tablet on a stand as opposed to having a music stand and a notebook, and I had put up a folder on my Dropbox and was able to just access all that stuff, and that worked pretty much flawlessly. I might need to format some of those songs a little different, but generally speaking, I could see the whole song all the way through, and that way I was able to do songs that I typically wouldn't be able to memorize, that many of songs that I barely brush on. But I think Empty Garden by Elton John turned out pretty well. I was pretty chuffed about that. But it turned out being a really big vocal night. There's a couple songs I really had to send it on. I was singing at the top of my range. I did Midnight Hour, and man, if I do it in the original key, I'm really, really up there. So that was a challenge, but I met the challenge, and it was cool. And I think people responded to it with a lot of whoop whoops. So that was cool. Anyway, this is a great night, and all that, and I got a steak, which I took home and wound up eating for lunch on Sunday morning, and it was just fantastic. The whole day Sunday was awesome. Today being Monday, I had 4 massages scheduled. 2 of them actually showed up. And they got some great work done, and they both tipped. So, hey, good Monday. But, that's what's going on, and there's little surprise. I can't say too much about this week. You'll be getting that on my next episode, but something we might be doing Saturday. But the thing I know I'm doing this week is I'm spending one night at the studio on our stuff, and then I'm hoping to finish up our work on Ansel's project in 3 more sessions. So one of those sessions is going to be Friday night, and we're going to be taking a song that we fully produced as an acoustic song and doing the drums and the bass and whatnot and making it an electric song, and that'll be the focus of that session. And then after we get this, I think that puts us at something like 13, 14 songs for him. I kind of need to kind of cap off. It's sort of a never-ending project right now, and part of that's my fault, but a lot of it is, just the fact that we don't charge. So that kind of has to change. At least something, for the driving up there and whatnot, just so everybody's like. The problem with free, listen, I would work on anybody's album for free at any time. The problem is, because of my enthusiasm for it, the problem is it takes away from working on my projects, and I also have to spend money to do it to get to that studio, that physical studio. So this is going to be the last time that Harrison and I, at least as a unit, as a team, work on something for free. So not going to charge a lot, but going to have to charge something. You know how it is. I mean, Eddie adopted this at the studio years ago. He used to let me record for free. And then eventually he was like, well, look, I've got all this equipment I have to pay to get, worked on. And so he gave me a very great friend price. And I have enjoyed that ever since, and it makes total sense to me. And so I'm just following his example, and hopefully gonna, future projects, at least I'll get the gas money out of it, because it adds up, y'all. I've been paying off a studio bill with Eddie where I said, hey, let me know when I've reached a certain amount, and we got real lax about that, and then it was like $4,500, and I was like, that hurt. And I'm just about to pay that off, and that was from back in 2017, finishing up an album that I went to Nashville to record the bulk of. So those hours add up, and what you realize is in today's modern take on getting your music to be the best it can, the engineer has to sit there and edit it and do little things to make it absolutely optimal, and those hours count too, so time takes time, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So that's basically what's been going on, and I think I've prattled on here for about 20 minutes. I'm gonna get back here at the shop and take care of a little business tonight, and then I'll be hanging out with my main squeeze Delilah, watching some TV. By the way, I finally got to watch that Banshees of I forget the Inisherin or something like that, with Colin Farrell. And I gotta say, man, what a disturbing movie. It's on HBO right now. I almost bought that movie. I almost went and saw it at the theater because I really like him, and I like the vistas of Ireland. And it's a beautiful film, but man, disturbing stuff happens in that show. I've still got about 15 minutes to finish in it, and it's a pure drama. That's what it is. It's just a pure people drama with elements of body horror. Not intentional. It's not a horror film, but it's just got to do with one of the guys in self-mutilation and mutilation, I guess, not ization, probably. But anyway, check it out if you're into that sort of thing. And I'll be back when there's something new to share. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys have an amazing week. Be good. Be safe. Brento out.